What's going on, folks? Black suspect has been arrested and linked to over five church burnings in the St. Louis area, in predominantly black areas. And I'm just going to jump straight into this. You know, you think about slavery, and I've done videos saying slavery wasn't as bad as most Negroes make it out to be. Um, you can go look that video up. It's funny that most black folks who are taught at home um, about slavery, that every bad circumstance in their life is somehow linked to this myth called white supremacy. And I've broken down white supremacy. You can go look that video up. I've said that if I went to China, and I use this example. If I went to China, I wouldn't expect to see people wearing sombreros. I would expect Chinese to be in traditional Chinese garb, attire, whatever, clothing. I wouldn't expect sombreros worn by Chinese. So when you're in America and you have a group of people, that being Caucasian slash white people, who, and some of y'all correct me if I'm wrong, outnumber blacks about 12 to 1, it's only fitting to see many whites in leadership positions. It's only fitting to see whites in areas because they outnumber us 12 to 1. 12 to 1. And I've talked about equality. I've read a lot of great works by the great Thomas Sowell about equality, his books. He talks about how how things are not only in America, but you have groups of ethnic groups that are just more proficient and they're more, they're more gifted at things than others. And we're not all equal. When the founding fathers came up with this idea and they were talking about equality, and it meant equal access. We're all entitled to equal access. We're not all equal. Not all men are created equal. That's just the reality of it. But you have those on the left, and again, I owe no allegiance to any political party, ideology. I just so happen to lean more on the right. But the liberal left will have you believe that we should all be equal. And that's just not the case. Exhibit A, the NBA. I'll leave it at that. Some of you all know what I'm talking about. But back in the day, when the KKK used to burn the cross, if you dabble just a little bit, if you just do a Google search, you'll find that much of their rituals, what they did, and if you know a little about the Bible, the burning light of Christ, burning of the cross wasn't meant to desecrate the cross. It was used as a way to demonstrate that light of Christ, that burning light of Christ. And it's also been used by other ethnic groups across the globe, well, most notably in Scotland, to thwart foes, to burn the fields. Do not enter. It's very ritualistic. And if you study a little, just the inkling about the KKK, they borrowed a lot of their rituals from old Europe. Scotland, most notably. They borrowed a lot of those old rituals. Even the Aryans have a lot of ritual European rituals that they've adopted. It wasn't a bunch of this loose-knit white guys that said we're going to go around and terrorize black people. They actually had order. They had rituals. They had edicts that they abided by. Now, I'm not condoning or holding up the KKK, but the idea that they just was a bunch of hillbilly hicks that just said we're going to mess with blacks and all right, we're going to call ourselves the KKK. No, they had rituals. They had rules to their shit. And this is a video not about the KKK, but the point I'm making is that burning all these black folks, the media had all these black folks, and I'm going to get into this deep, had all these black folks in St. Louis running around with their chicken, like a chicken with their head cut off. Concerned, thinking this is Mississippi burning in 2015. Next thing you know, we're going to have crosses in front of our project buildings. Crosses in front of our homes. That ain't worth a damn, because Negroes don't keep nothing up. But lo and behold, Mr. Jackson, who has a rap sheet going all the way back to 1998, burglary, dope dealing, assault against an officer, arson, multiple legal possession of a weapon. But somehow, the media wanted all these poor black folks. Let me explain them. Why would white supremacists? Now, there's a definitive line between a white supremacist believes that he or she is better than someone who is not of their ilk. Doesn't support that there's a white supremacy system. Because these guys are few and far between. They're a small band of individuals. Most white people don't subscribe to those beliefs that the media portrayed as being the perpetrators, that being white supremacists, other factions. Most white people aren't like that. The KKK, while they do what they do, they're not even relevant. But the media would have you believe this. So all these poor black folks was running around, lifting up rocks, stones, looking for some white guy. All St. Louis Police Department is looking for a white guy. And meanwhile, you got this Shine with the rap sheet is as long as I don't know what, the damn culprit. And like I was supposed to say, why would a white supremacist go out of their way to burn institutions like the black church that have kept you docile, that has kept you dependent, that has removed any common sense and logic to solve many of the problems of the African American Negro? Why would white supremacists burn those? You would think that they would want to keep those in place. These institutions that keep you in a state of stupor. What would a white supremacist gain by burning some small churches, would probably had about 30 members? What gain would they get out of that? You know, the media loves to paint the boogeyman, like what most white people, they don't want to, and it goes back to the narcissism, of many black folks, where they just don't want us to succeed. You know, when we built Black Wall Street, which I did a video, which was a myth. If you study anything about Black Wall Street, it was white men, due to all the oil that was up there, that made Wall Street, that Tulsa area, much of what it was. See, and this goes back to the liberal intelligentsia. They would have us believe. Now, were there successful blacks up there? Absolutely. Were there other enclaves where blacks had businesses, were working together? Absolutely. Black folks have done this. I've seen this. But see, the media and the liberal intelligentsia, which is most of these colleges and universities in America, will have you believe that Negroes walked straight off the damn plantations and walked straight into Tulsa, Oklahoma, and built Black Wall Street. And I say to that, it is bull feces. White folks were there doing business. Blacks were doing businesses there. Of course, whites established the area. I did a video on it. Go check it out if you like. Or you can do a simple Google internet search or Bing, whatever have you, and look these things up. But what, what good would it be for white supremacists to burn down a couple measly black churches in St. Louis? Like, you would think that would be a bigger agenda. But like I said, the narcissism in a black America is rampant. They don't want us to succeed. They don't want us, when they see two black folk together, they don't want to see black love. I think a lot of people would love to see black folks get their shit together. Stop having bastard kids. Stop robbing, maiming, and embarrassing and killing and destroying each other. I think most people would love to see black folks stop doing that. But of course, there's always a boogeyman. Any supposed progress by the Negro is somehow there's some white man behind a tree with names of prominent black leaders and accomplishments that he's scratching off. Malcolm X, check. Martin Luther King, check. And so on and so on. And that's narcissism, to think that someone always has your progress or the lack thereof on their mind. And I've just said that white folks, most people, would love for you to get your SHIT in order. There's no reason for white folks to go in St. Louis and burn up no damn churches. For what? You Negroes in St. Louis are doing a pretty good job in destroying the shit that you have. You people in Baltimore are doing a mighty fine job in destroying and pillaging the SHIT stuff that you have. Or, no, that would be shit stuff. You know what I mean. No white man required. What you shines are doing on a daily basis, you don't need a white man to come and thwart that. You're doing a fine job of that. So it didn't surprise me that a Negro would burn these churches down. But see, his motives are different. He's not burning those churches down because he feels that they are old relics of Black America and really have done nothing. Who knows why the shine burned him? Maybe he was trying to create a race war. I mean, you won't hear that on the media. You won't hear, but see, the narrative for white supremacists is to burn churches because they're trying to incite something racial. But you have a black individual who burns churches, and everybody's freaking bewildered and scratching their head. And see, here lies the double standard. Here lies the double standard. I mean, there's absolutely no reason for it. I want you to think about that. And see, it becomes easy when you begin to read and understand. It's easy to debunk these or point out rather these narratives that certain individuals love to portray. All I've been hearing for the last year, every time a black church is burnt, is, oh my gosh, it's white supremacists. They're trying to incite nothing. Now you can't use that. Say there was, and I said this when Dylan Roof went there and shot up some black folks. I said there's a story about some shines in Richmond, California a couple years ago that went in a church and shot up some people. I had a Negro tell me, well, it was different. Okay? And see, this is the insanity I know I'm dealing with. When you ask a straightforward question, or you propose a straightforward scenario, as I just mentioned, and then they say, well, that's different. I know I'm dealing with someone who is not genuine in the conversation. They're being disingenuous. They're playing games, and I don't have time to play those types of games. If we're going to be have a conversation like that, we need to be intellectually honest and be humble enough to recognize when we're wrong. And that fool, to answer that question in which the way he did, was flat out wrong. And see, that's why I don't converse or do videos to these imbeciles when they bring up weak-ass arguments like that guy did. Because if we can't agree on that, then there's really nothing else to discuss. In fact, there is nothing to discuss. Okay? There's nothing to discuss. So, I mean, again, I'm going to cut this video short, but it doesn't surprise me at all. It really doesn't. But you're not going to hear this on the media. You're not going to hear the reasons why. Okay, because there's a particular narrative that is trying to be solidified, because it's already been established. They're trying to solidify it into the brains of people, you know. And I've said the black church is an old relic. It's done nothing. Like I said, say there were black folks in that church. Would he be under the same status as Dylan Roof? I mean, die by fire is brutal. I mean, that, you know, I'd rather take a shot. I'd rather take a gunshot any day than being burned to death. But this shine didn't know that. There could have been black folks in that church. He didn't give a damn. So would he have been the same status as Dylan Roof? And it's kind of like the shine that blows each other away every night. Black folks don't say nothing. But when a white cop comes, and usually is justified, and blows one of these shines away, oh my gosh. The president is inviting them to lunch. The president is inviting that family over for dinner at the White House. So it's the same double standard, really. And when you're dealing with people like that who are intellectually dishonest, there's nothing to discuss. And the only thing you can do is expose that. Expose the double standards. See, the truth always, it always finds itself, it will always come through the muck, the debris, and blossom. The truth will always, it may take a while, and it may take work. But if you keep watering, it's going to come through, and it's going to fruit. Peace.